Hi, this is Danny Hicks from some of the best bad movies you've ever seen. And you're listening to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Welcome to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Tim O and Harley Show. I am Tim O. Over there is my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben, Happy New Year. Harley.
How
How the hell are you?
Okay. You all right over there?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. You know, here's can we have? I think we've talked about this a little bit. Why is it you had to get drunk on New Year? Where did that
get smashed?
Yeah. So how did that become a thing?
I don't know. Something to do with champagne, I think. Maybe I don't know.
Right. I have no idea either. Yeah,
right. Me either.
Yeah.
It's been a little while since I've gone out and really tied one on for New Year's.
Oh God, you kidding
many
me?
a moon.
Yeah,
many a moon.
Oh hell, I felt too old for that. I was saying the amateur hour when I was in my early 20s. Not one to go out that night. Yeah, so I get it. It is kind of curious. I wonder if you're celebrating the new year coming in, or drinking your depression of the following year away.
Well, probably a little bit of both.
You're probably right.
You know, a little bipolar stuff happens when you start drinking too.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. Actually, as far as crazy guys like us go, I don't think this year was that bad.
No,
had a hell of a lot of worse years since we've been on the show here together and independently. And this one wasn't that bad. It was all right.
Not too bad. My health wasn't as good this year, but that's just,
Well, nobody cares about that. We're not talking about that.
Yeah, exactly. I've had a pretty good run for many years, so I'll take it.
Right. Yeah,
health-wise.
That's right. Well, this is going to be, by the time everybody hears this, it's basically going to be 2018. Can you believe it?
No, not really. Not at all. I thought I'd have a flying car by now. Come on.
I don't know. I don't know what I thought I'd have by now. I never really thought this far ahead. When we're living in years that I didn't think far enough ahead to even imagine were going to exist, I'm playing with house money here. I'm just kind of cruising through. So, but we will have the new dermal ridge very, very soon. We don't know exactly when, but again, by the time you hear this, it'll be
days.
It could be, and we're a week behind when people are hearing this. So we went and looked at the house this past weekend to see what they were doing, and they were like grouting, like tiles and they were putting in. They're putting in finishing stuff. They're getting ready for the appliances to be put in. So it's really close. I mean,
That's
super
awesome,
close.
buddy.
There's some few things they need to touch up here and there. Stuff that kind of got damaged along the way.
That happens.
Yeah, like stuff in the front porch, kind of like some of the concrete didn't set pretty good. But we're talking about like the lip of the, concrete and stuff like that. So there's a few things that have to be kind of touched up. But we're pretty damn close. And the Oasis has had some real strong interest, but we're kind of waiting. It's been about a week or two. We know we had interest like big time.
Yeah.
So we're kind of just sitting back wondering if the people are waiting until after the holidays, which I understand.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be a Christmas present, or could have been a Christmas present.
Could have been. I told Angie, I was like, I think people sometimes like to wait to see what they get in their year-end bonus too, to see what they can. For down payments and things. But either way, I'm not really too worried about that. This is the one lucky thing we are, Ben Harley, is we are in a neighborhood that people want to live in a school district that they want to live in. So we're going to have that going for us no matter what, no matter what.
Sure.
So, but
it's a nice little neighborhood and it's a nice house. You got a pool, for crying out loud.
Yeah. I mean, somebody could have some fun here. We sure did.
Oh man, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I know, but I'm kind of waiting to have more fun at the new place too. So,
that place is going to be awesome. We'll just build we got to build a pond in the back, right?
Well, we're going to have a pool. It's going to be a pool back there too. Yeah,
all right.
Not right away. I think it's going to be like a year. We're going to kind of. It's an odd landscape out there, so we got to see the right. When you put a pool somewhere, it's not super easy to scoot it over.
No, if you don't like where
they're heavy. They're heavy, you know? So
this is off about 6 inches. Could you move this over?
Right. So we're gonna live out there for a while and kind of see where we want it.
Sure.
But that was our last Christmas in the Oasis, and I'm not somebody that's kind of a looker backer. I'm ready.
No,
I'm ready to move on. I mean, this has been. I told Angie, I said, we grew up here.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is we became adults in this house. I mean, there was a lot of stuff we went through individually and together again. And I think it's time to leave all those things here.
Sure.
And move on to new memories and do stuff like that. So looking forward to it.
Me too. For you guys and for myself, Tim. I'm going to come out there one day and probably just set up a cabin in the back.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of room we might not see yet. So it might be all right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
How was your Christmas?
It was pretty good, Timo. It was actually really good. It's nice to have some time off. Mm-hmm. And Santa was pretty decent to me this year. That's good. For the most part. And it was a good time. And I got to eat a lot, Timo, which I'm always always a fan of.
Right.
And not that I overindulge all the time, so it's nice to actually once in a while kind of.
Right.
Loosen the belt.
Loosen the belt buckle. Yeah.
So,
fill in some spots there. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it was good, Tim. I enjoyed myself, and like I said, I got a new hockey stick that I can wrap around someone's head.
There you go.
And stuff like that. So good times, Tim. And how about yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Got some movies. Angie and I got a couple TVs for the new house. Not like the main console TVs, but some nice smart TVs to put in the fun little entertaining areas in the new house.
Yeah.
And got a 4K Blu-ray player, but I only had a chance. I threw in The Fifth Element. I had that on 4K.
Okay.
And I threw it in, and I can't report back yet. Like that's my first real foray into real 4K. I don't trust streaming.
4K,
I don't trust streaming because you never really know when it's buffering or not when you're up to that kind of resolution. So I can't really say much. I did pop it in for a minute, and it was fairly impressive. So I you know what? I'm going to take this out. I've had my NGO's mom and dad have been here visiting, so I haven't really had a chance to play with my stuff yet. So, but I'm going to get into it.
Play with your toys.
Yeah, I'm going to get into it real quick here. But I do want to report this back though. NGO has been listening to the show. And she's not happy. I'm letting the goose out of the bag here. That there wasn't a lot of Christmas shows being watched. So we got a few Christmas shows I need to tell you about that we watched.
Okay, good. Yeah.
We did take that long weekend before Christmas, like we were talking about last week, how we had like a Saturday and a Friday and all that stuff kind of backed up. Mm-hmm. Christmas on a Sunday or a Monday is kind of cool. You get a longer weekend, I guess,
Yeah.
And
3-dayer at least.
Yeah. So we took that and we did watch some. So here, let me tell you what we watched here. We did watch. Now here's interesting. From 2003.
Yeah.
We watched I Want a Dog for Christmas, Charlie Brown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, kind of a newer one.
I saw that on there. I saw that on Amazon.
Yeah.
The old Amazon. Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty.
Was it?
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny. I was a little, and Chance wanted to watch it, and the NGO was like, hey, that's kind of a newer one. I was like, well, it's 2003. It was still made before he was born. And she went,
that's true.
Yeah, we put that into context, and then we decided, maybe we should watch that. So, watch it. Pretty good. I liked it. That was pretty good.
I like some Charlie Brown.
Yeah. Chance and I, now we didn't really, I don't think we finished this, but we kind of got into it. Jogged the old memory banks. Watched a little bit of the Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's on Amazon. I don't know if you saw that on there, but that's on there.
No, I didn't. No, that's funny.
Did watch from 1970, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, the Rankin Bass.
Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah, Fred
I saw
Astaire.
that.
Good. Fred Astaire, Mickey Rooney, Keenan Wynn.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though. Paul Frees, I'm a big Paul Frees fan. Paul Frees as the Burgermeister Meisterburger is beyond reproach. I mean, that's just the most amazing performance I've ever heard in my life. Like a voice, you like toys.
Yeah.
A yo-yo. I love a yo-yo. I could do tricks. Yeah. Excuse me, sir. You're breaking your own laws. What? Yeah. So,
what?
Yeah.
He's good. Yeah.
So, of course, then from 1964, per AMGO's request, we watched Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Mm-hmm. Here's something very interesting for you. First of all, speaking of characters that are just amazing out of those shows, Larry Mann as Yukon Cornelius, I think is just, and I kind of looked, Larry Mann played Tybor in The Octagon, and he was the train conductor in your movie The Sting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Like that. And, of course, we have Burl Ives as Sam the Snowman. I always have to mention this when I watch this show, though. Okay? Now, I don't know as an adult if you watch this. I'm sure you might have watched it this year. I know you try to. But Santa Claus is a straight-up dick. He's like no moral compass for those reindeer at all.
No,
like he's right along with Rudolph being an outcast.
Oh yeah. He gets down on Donner, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. Well, I tell you what, he shuns Rudolph right up to the second he needs something. I gotta have something from you. You're cool now, Rudolph. And I was like, man. And I remember, I did remember, like, even back when I was a kid, it was a little uncomfortable. I'm like, wow, Santa Claus can even be kind of mean. But you know what's funny is that as an adult, I remember as a kid thinking, I better be good.
Yeah.
He's a dick.
Yeah.
He's not that, gee whiz,
Yeah.
And he's 4 foot tall, made of wood. I don't know about that, but
I noticed something weird watching other Christmas shows, especially with having Sydney now. Rudolph you must have to pay a little bit of money for Rudolph, because I noticed a lot of these shows that do have appearances by Santa Claus and his reindeer have a lead reindeer, but it has not been Rudolph.
Oh yeah, so, they got to separate that crap. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. I thought Rudolph, maybe he took I didn't know if he took Christmas off a couple years or what, but I haven't seen him in a while. So yeah.
Somebody's done something to Rudolph.
So I'm starting to worry.
But one last thought about Rudolph, though. The question I have too: are you sure Hermie wasn't played by Matthew Broderick? I want to be a dentist. I'm pretty sure that was Matthew Broderick. I don't care what they say. Another one we watched, Ben Harley, which not sure they grow weed good enough to make this work out, but Pinocchio's Christmas from 1980, the Rankin Bass Pinocchio.
I don't know if I've seen that. I'm sure I have.
I think you had. I think you might have. It's the one. Pinocchio is still wooden. He wants to get Geppetto something for Christmas, and there's like two mean like alley cats that are trying to trick him into doing something or whatever. And they're dressed up like hobos. There's a woman and a man, cats, and they're kind of like gypsy / hobos. And they're I don't know, they're trying to always trick Pinocchio into doing the wrong thing, to being bad and stuff. I don't know. It was a little. Sometimes I'm like, Rankin Bass, you guys take. You take traditional stories and just turn them into your own, and then it's canon.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure that Santa Claus has a pet as a pet penguin. I did see Santa Claus is coming to town. Even though they changed his name his name was Waddles. Yeah, and then they changed it in the '80s to Topper. If you watch
Topper, that's right. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Hi, Topper. It's like it was Waddles, and that was when we were kids. So if you got freaked out when you heard Topper the first time, probably because you hadn't heard it before. Here's something even weirder for you. At least with with Rudolph show, the animation was all done in Japan. That's why they had the Japanese director on all of them. So all the animation was done in Japan, and all of the audio was done in Canada.
Done in Canada.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay. It's Canadian. It feels Canadian.
There's a weirdness there. Usually these are live action dramas that are reflecting these types of shows. But it's got a little Canadian bacon in it. A little bit.
That's funny.
A little bit going in there. I forgot. Angio and I watched the 1938 A Christmas Carol on, I think it was Christmas Eve. So with Reginald Owen and Leo G. Carroll and...
Yeah. Did it make you run out and buy a Christmas goose or anything?
No, I still root for the heel. I still root for Scrooge, you know?
Yeah.
So,
he wasn't so wrong.
Yeah. And then, of course, Ben Harley, there is the Tiny Tim, or as I like to call him, Young Peter Lorre.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's the goose, the Christmas goose. I want to stroke it. Let me stroke the goose. Yeah, that always creeps me out.
Before we eat it.
Yeah, I told Angie, here it comes. I know it's coming, man. I couldn't remember exactly what he said, but I knew it was coming. And as soon as I saw that, I like to stroke you. I go, that's the one. That's the one that creeps me out. There we go. Yeah, so that was kind of fun. Angie and I, for whatever reason, I have no reason that we did this, but we went back and watched the Mothman prophecies.
It's fun. That's really weird, Timo, because I was watching some Mothman stuff myself. So yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't really remember that film all that well. I know I've seen it once.
Well, yeah.
A lot of time jumping around stuff. Right?
It's not much moth or man. It's not.
No.
Yeah, I don't like this movie. And here's the thing: I'm watching this movie, and you probably do too. You're not too far away from those parts. Yes. Yeah. So, but the thing is I think both of us probably know the skeleton of the story.
Yeah.
Of what happened before the bridge collapse and stuff like that. Yeah. And this movie basically gives you nothing. If I were to make a movie about the Mothman, I would make a movie about all of the witnesses and stuff leading up to that bridge collapse, and then in a Hollywood way, dramatically tie it together. No. This movie barely mentions moths at all.
No.
And it just really, so I started thinking about it, and I'm like, the problem I have is that this movie is called Based on a True Story. So anybody going to see it who's familiar with the Mothman is going to right away recognize the fact that no, this guy was not a reporter for the New York Times or whatever. He was a writer. Yeah. No. The sheriff wasn't a hot blonde named Laura Linney. No. The sheriff was an old dude in town. No. People didn't really see a moth at the bridge. That's just, it stopped. The sighting stopped. Could have been because there was more important traumatic things happening to people after that bridge collapse. So no. And then it's like, well, no, double no. The writer guy that Richard Gere is playing wasn't even in town when the damn thing collapsed. He was gone. These are things I know off the top of my head.
Right, yeah.
It's driving me crazy. So follow me on this, because I wrote this when I was a little ripped. Okay? So follow my logic on this, all right? Watching this movie made me realize I don't like remakes, because they are dramatizations of a dramatization that we all know the story of.
Right.
So when I watched Mothman Prophecy, it wasn't a movie before it. There was a true story. So I'm picking up the whole damn thing as a dramatization.
Yeah.
So I have no idea why remakes came in my head, but I equated it to watching a remake. So if I watch the remake of, say, Halloween...
Yeah.
What I'm watching is the dramatization of a fictional dramatization. You're sandwiching too much dramatization on top of each other.
Right.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. Because sometimes I don't know if I'm making any sense at all when I'm gonna rip. We'll find out on New Year's what happens. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Happy New Year. So anyway, but no, I didn't really. I got really mad at the movie again. I was just like, oh God, I can't stand this.
Yeah, I can't really remember enough about it. I just remember a lot of, I thought there was supposed to be time jumping, and I don't know.
Right.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm mixing it up with a different movie. I don't.
No, they kind of jump around a little bit, but it's just bad. It's not good. Good actors and stuff, and it's just not good. I don't know. It's got nothing to do with moths or nothing like that. It's got more to do with Richard Gere missing his dead wife, and that shit pisses me off. those romantic supernatural mysteries. That's what it's more like. And I'm like, there's so much to chew on there with the real story.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I even asked the NGO because I wasn't we weren't reviewing it, so I wasn't like hardcore paying attention to it. But I said, have they mentioned a moth yet? And she's like, she said, they went to interview some people for a minute. Like they had like a little montage of people they were interviewing for things. And somebody said something about a moth. I was like, it's called the Mothman Prophecies, right? Okay. It had more to do with that Indrid Cold guy. He's like the Men in Black boogeyman that the UFO community's after. It's got more to do with him than it does anything else. Which I know he was supposedly a part of that story. Anyway, I digress, regress, and get back to some progress here on the show.
Sure.
This is the last one here, Ben Harley. I'm going to turn it over to you. I really want to talk to you about this because I think you might want to watch this movie. Believe it or not. Okay. This is from, I don't even know the year. I didn't look it up. But it's got to be the last like 2 years or so. Maybe let's say, for safety's sake, let's say the last 5 years this was produced, okay? The movie is on Amazon Prime, so you've got it. All right, you got it at your greasy fingertips. All right. Ooh, it's called Savage Land. Savage Land. Right. One word, Savage Land. Okay. Okay. It's a faux documentary. They started off saying it's in, I think, Arizona, and they started off saying, I don't know why people know about this, don't know about the story. A whole town got wiped out overnight. And we got this guy in custody and blah, 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 this and that. Yeah. So the guy, as it goes, you realize it's a faux documentary fairly soon into it, but it's still really interesting. And it's basically a guy who survived a whole town being ripped to shreds, and he's in jail with some overly stereotypical southern border cop jail. And since this guy is an, quote, immigrant, he's certainly got to be guilty. It's a movie about an immigrant who supposedly, killed a whole town, a border town, in one night. Wow. Right? Like, and he's like this little guy. So this little guy took out an entire town of people with his bare hands overnight. That's what the cops are trying to say. Now, the movie itself is just being told like a documentary. The only horror in the entire film is that this guy had a camera with him and took 30 pictures of the night. And as the documentary unfolds, they unfold his pictures he took. Okay. So he basically went through town while something was happening, and the cops are saying, well, those pictures can be doctored. They don't need to be real. And I'm going to stop there. Like, I'm going to let you see if you can, because that's how the movie unfolds. It's a completely unique way of doing things. Sure. And I think it's really cool. I will warn everyone, there is a bit of preachiness to it about politics on the border. And they do, it's coming from a, let's say, more left-leaning angle. So they do stereotype a bit harshly. They kind of put everybody all under one umbrella. Let's put it that way. Oh, yeah. Like, you don't vote for my guy, so you're all under this umbrella kind of thing. But to be honest with you, though, it's not overdone. It could be the entire movie, but it's not. They just kind of stick to the story of what's going on. It is a town of immigrants, so therefore they didn't want to call the cops, right? Because cops are not great to be checking everybody's green cards or whatever, you know. But there is a little bit, so I'm just bracing you for that. But if you go in understanding that, and if that's okay, it's all right, because it didn't beat me over the head with the whole time. I just sometimes stereotypes of someone on the left or the right, kind of, you know, sort of like saying anyone that supported socialized healthcare is a straight up communist. So it's on the opposite of that. It's on the opposite of that. It's saying anyone who thinks we need a border wall is clearly a frothing, mad, insane racist. Yeah, okay. So, right. But they're just making a point. It's a movie. And I will say that that's a very small part of it. Just warning everyone, because I don't like to watch movies with stuff, messages in it. Either way, I just want to watch an entertaining movie. But sure, exactly. It's called Savage Land. I highly recommend this. I highly recommend it. It got me watching the whole thing. Okay. You know, and the acting is pretty good. As far as like the quote witnesses, some of them I think were real. I think they edited, like there's a photographer who was looking at the veracity of the pictures. I kind of thought he might have been real. Like they might have like dumped these not fake, but they dumped these pictures on this guy that they took for the movie, saying, are these fake pictures? Well, they're not fake pictures. Doesn't mean what they're looking at inside the frame isn't fake, but no one doctored the photos. So there's a little clever editing going on too, I think. So, but it doesn't insult your intelligence like the stupid mermaid shows and the mega mouth sharks and bullshit.
Mega mouth.
Yeah, them damn stupid things. Yeah. So, and before I hand it off to you, Ben Harley, I would like to say thank you so much for my Abominable Snowman the Himalayas poster.
Oh, for yes. Yeah, you're welcome, Timo. Merry Christmas. I hope you enjoyed it. Does it look nice?
It does look nice. I rolled it right back up, put it back in its thing, and is going to Dermal Ridge.
Yeah.
So I
was hoping there would be a nice spot there for it.
Oh, I'm sure there will. There's a little bit of wall space for it. So you'll be good.
Boy.
So
okay, good.
So with that, thank you. And the high recommendation to watch Savage Land. What you got? You got anything for me?
Yeah, Timo, let me check here, buddy. I got a few things. Well, I have been watching some television too, some Amazon and things like that. So I've been able to find some real good shows on Amazon. Since I've been on there, a lot, I do like the documentaries. So I've kind of been watching, or not just, watching some of those, but, getting some in my watch list and things like that, and stuff. So I'm setting myself up for a nice, trip down documentary lane.
Right. Gotcha.
So, yeah, a couple of things that I got to watch, Timo. One that I think you've also put your beady eyes on. It's a show called America's Monsters.
Okay, yeah.
And there's only like 4 episodes, but each episode is around an hour and a half long, and they key on 2 monsters. I know the first 2 episodes were woodland monsters. Which were the hodag.
Yes. Up in Wisconsin, right?
Yes, the hodag, and they talked about the hodag and Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. I know the second episode they talked about the Bell Witch and why am I'm drawing a blank on was another woodland creature. Oh, darn it, Timo.
I'm not down with the Bell Witch. I haven't really had that one grab onto me yet.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, what's cool about these episodes, they go in depth about like not only the monster itself, but the town and sometimes, these could be like an hour long. They could do like a half hour on each and it would still be really good. I think they are about 10 minutes or so too long. But the one was pretty interesting, the hodag, which basically, I don't know. I think the hodag, there was a couple eyewitnesses, but the hodag, I think, kind of was a gentleman who made this creature up to show it like carnivals and sideshows.
Totally. They even admit that in that show, I think.
Yeah. So there's a few people that said they've seen it, but I don't, but
it looks like a bug-eyed bulldog.
Yeah, with
a horn on it.
Giant claws and horns down its back.
Yeah.
Amongst other things. It was
that just sounds like a regular 1950s sci-fi monster movie.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the one picture they took, which they did say was fake, and the guy, he made it up and stuff, but it was kind of funny because it had like the townspeople out there with pitchforks and such.
Yeah.
And the thing was on a log, and there was like a guy crouching on the ground,
Right.
And I guess if you know anything about photographs, especially back then,
right,
there wasn't too many photographs on the run. You know what I mean? Like this is like early 1900s.
You kind of had to stand still not to get a blurry picture too.
Oh yeah, and the cameraman himself. Yeah. Oh my goodness. He had it took a little bit to set it up, but anyways. I enjoyed it, and it talks about how, like, the effect on the town of these creatures, too. And for the most part, it's always been good. A lot of times, they name, there's many shops, and like, the high school was named after the hodag, and just it was kind of neat. They had a giant hodag statue.
Right.
But it does, like I said, so it does key on these different places. The other place for Bigfoot was Willow Creek. It keyed on Willow Creek. On that one creepy guy that owns the bookstore from Willow Creek that has like the I don't know. He has like the Andy Cap hat on backwards. What's his name? Steve something or another.
Okay.
He's in the movie Willow Creek. They go to see him. I know you've seen him. He's the creepy little guy. He sits in his bookstore behind.
Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah. Now I got you. You said creepy little guy. I got you now. Yeah.
He's like a bug-eyed bulldog, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got you.
But they did, Willow Creek. It goes through and shows like all the stuff from Willow Creek. And I think you've seen this, Timo, so I'm not preaching. I'm preaching to the choir to you. But yeah, these are really good shows. I did enjoy the one, and I'm sorry, I can't remember why. I know the other was the Bell Witch, and God, why can't I remember what the
was it? Mothman?
Mothman, yes. God, darn it. The other one, Timo, was the Mothman. Yes, that's it, Mothman. Yes, Mothman and the Bell Witch. And it was pretty interesting. The Mothman really does go through a lot of the early history of it, but yet it does talk about the Mothman prophecies, which you just saw, so I find that interesting. Mm-hmm. So maybe the Mothman he's like trying to help our show out or something.
He probably is, yeah.
Maybe he is. He's doing a little prophecy on the Timo.
I'm getting odd phone calls with high-pitched frequencies. He's telling me what to do, yes.
Yeah, he's prophesizing. So, that's interesting, but, the town of Point Pleasant has really taken, same thing with Mothman, is a big deal down there. You know what I mean? And it's kind of cool. And it talks to a lot of the shop owners and things too, and how a lot of them have embraced it. Mm-hmm. Why not? And if it brings tourists there, and they said they did have a huge kind of a boom after the Mothman Prophecies movie too. Yeah. It was huge. So,
well, I think people wanted to, after seeing that piece of shit movie, they wanted to find, that's great about all that. Well, how about a moth? Yeah. So then they went looking themselves and found the real story, which again blows me away, is so much more interesting than whatever the crap that was. But
and I found it interesting because what's nice on this too, they go back and they talk to a lot of people that were involved in that, and I've heard some of the stories, and then I know they talked to the one woman where her and her brother were chased, in their car. By the Mothman and different things. And they also talked about like the bomb shelter, not the bomb shelter. I'm sorry. They used to house artillery and stuff at in Point Pleasant or ammunition. Really, they had bunkers and stuff like that. And they thought that the Mothman used to hang out at the abandoned, munitions depot or dump or whatever. So that's kind of interesting. And they would go and show that, and they would show the guys who gave the tours and things like that. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I did find really interesting in the Willow Creek one, there was a gentleman who had a sighting, and I really liked the fact that they had the people who would have sightings, but then they also had a lot of skeptics too. And the skeptics were pretty good. It was a good amount of each, and even sometimes the skeptics would say, I don't know. I really don't know about this, or, hey, it would be nice if we could find something. But there was one eyewitness gentleman who I found very credible. He was, I put him around our age, so he was an old fart kind of old guy, But he put dirt to bed at night. Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He was like a psychologist and a parental or parenting expert or something.
Okay.
But the guy had a sighting. It was kind of funny because he said, I was kind of out with my family and I was up on a ridge. They were down below. And then he said, out of myth and mythology and out of the books, into my mind came Bigfoot. I just saw, it's like, there he is. Mm-hmm. He's like, my brain kind of crashed. He said, and then it rebooted to be like, wow, which for me, that's how I think I would view it too.
Right.
Yeah. Or a ghost or anything like that. Yeah. Wait a second. Whoa. And then it opens up that whole new world to you. Right. And I found this guy's, eyewitness account really good. So like he said, my brain crashed and it rebooted. Then I kind of got the instinct of get my family out of here.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so he ran down. He said, I started telling my family and they're like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, move. And they're like, wait, what? And he just said, move. He goes, I screamed at him, So I got out of there. He said, we went up a little ways, got away. I pulled my wife aside from the kids and said, I just saw Bigfoot. And she's like, I believe you, And So this guy from here on, this guy actually goes out and he does kind of like he's the Jane Goodall thing, where he goes out for long periods of time. And he had said right before he came to do this interview, he had been out and had an experience too. Mm-hmm. But what he said, it took him, what he was saying, like 5 years. I don't think he was out in the woods for 5 years, you know what I'm saying? But he goes out for long periods of time. But he said it took him 5 years to get the Bigfoots basically used to him and to come grab something out. He would give them offerings, Who knows if it was a Bigfoot or not. But then he said when he was leaving, he'd just kind of go out there, and he talked about like a bedding area where he would go down, and he was there with his dog, and he said he waited, made some noises, did some things. And he said the male Bigfoot came up, looked at him, kind of looked at his dog, turned around and went back down, But this guy's claims, and I know you and I have talked about this before, and he had said the same thing. I don't think you can't just go out there and they're going to,
Right.
I mean, not all the time. You might happen across one, but I thought it was interesting that this guy was going out there for long, extended periods of time too.
Right.
So interesting, Timo.
Well, but just real quick, thinking about that, it's like if you go hunting for Bigfoot, let's turn this scenario completely around.
Yeah.
What if Bigfoot dressed up like a prostitute and walked down the street? Yeah, Bigfoot doesn't really know people and their customs and culture. So Bigfoot walked down the street in front of churches on a Sunday morning wearing a prostitute outfit.
Yeah.
Do you think he would fit in as well as these people think they're fitting in? No, and we're probably doing the dumb things like that, even though we think we're brilliant doing this stuff. So yes, yeah. I do think that it does just happen.
I do too. And it was interesting. They keyed on a lot of different things. It was really neat about Willow Creek. Mm-hmm. But there was a couple really key moments in these, shows that really kind of make you go, And then there's other things that make you go, But I still think they show a lot about the Patterson film and stuff too. The more I see the Patterson film, the more I believe it too. Like the more and more, because it's so funny too, because they'll show these like, we have, down at Willow Creek, we have parades, and they show everybody dressed up as Bigfoot, and none of them look even remotely as good as that costume 50 years ago or more. You know what I mean? Like, no, it just doesn't. I'm sorry. I laugh about it, but it's still interesting to me. They did go down a little bit to Willow Creek, but like they were saying, Willow Creek is quite a ways away into it's 50, 60 miles into the wilderness. It's not like it was off the beaten path either, really. Right. So, and I found that also quite interesting. Timo, real fast, because I'm a little long-winded on these, but they also did 2 other episodes about water creatures. They talked about Ogopogo, Pepe, Champ, and then there's another one that I haven't quite finished yet too. So these are really good. They're America's Monsters. I find them quite interesting. There are some good footage too in these, pictures. Some I don't know. Some of the footage is pretty interesting. But what I liked mostly about it is the eyewitness accounts. They talk about the town and how much the monster has effect on the towns and stuff too. Which I found interesting. It's a little bit too complete, because after a while you're like, is this just a show for tourism for this town? You know what I mean? Yeah. Which, hey, why not? Go for it. Right. But I think they're just a little too long, but very interesting. I did enjoy them. I'm glad I'm on the Amazon just for that fact, the deep Amazon.
Oh, yeah. Deep
just for
Amazon.
The fact. Yeah. And they do have a lot of other Bigfoot ones I'll keep you up posted on. I did watch one that was only like 10 minutes long, but I found it interesting. About a gentleman who had a Bigfoot museum, and he was claiming that the Smithsonian has many fossils and Bigfoot items, but they will not, for some odd reason. And he mentioned that when they were building a lot of the roads across this country and doing all the excavating and stuff, that they found plenty of bones and things like that too, but they just aren't,
Well, I think that kind of goes to that giant myth too, that there's maybe there's a real good chance a lot of this stuff is connected, by the way. But it's just like, they said they found like giants buried, like graves of giants, and then like the people dig them up and the government swoops in and grabs them. Yep. Or the government says, "Oh, let me see that." Woo. Yep. I got it. I'm out. So I mean, it's like there's something going on, and why would people? I don't know. There's something going on. Something, and it might be not as spooky and cool as we think it is. But there's still something. And as long as they're going to let us use our imaginations, screw you people. Screw you government, It's
exactly.
Like, well, I don't know if people can handle this. I'm
so.
pretty sure you're people too.
Yeah. I think our little feeble brains can handle it,
I think if you let the cat out of the bag, you can handle a lot more than carrying that shit around your whole life. Like knowing this stuff exists. Like just let it go. People are fine. They'll figure it out. You're not going to ruin religion if you say that those are UFOs. Just people are still going to argue what the fuck they are. So exactly. It is what it is. It is what it is. What do you got, Ben?
But I found, like I said, I found that stuff quite interesting. Though I did find, and I didn't think about it, but I did find that just that little piece. It was only about 30 seconds long of him talking about with and. You would have to think they came across a lot of fossils and things. Oh, yeah. Building the roads and the bridges and the tunnels and dynamiting half of the country to build this stuff that you would, you know what I mean? You would have found a lot of these things. And I believe that. I really, going back to the Mothman and that Point Pleasant, they, on the American Monsters episodes, they do key a lot on the Men in Black, which I didn't know that much about the Men in Black from the story, a little bit, but they key a lot on it and they talk a lot on it and how those guys were in town and they just, it is something out of a movie almost, you know what I mean? And what I found interesting too, they show a lot of really cool artwork in these episodes, two different things that people have done. And they've actually talked to a few artists, one who claimed to see a hodag too.
Hodag.
A hodag. So, but Tim, I'll leave it at that. I have a few other things, but we could talk about some of that stuff a little bit later. But I do appreciate all the the time spent, Timo, trying to get me to Amazon because I guess it was worth it in the end.
Well, I tell you what, and going back to the roads thing too, and even back way back when, they were not going to tell you they were finding bones of giant apes and stuff. It was going to slow down the roads.
Right, exactly.
It's going to slow down the roads no matter what year this is.
Build, you won't be able to build there.
Right, exactly. Like, it's just like the logging thing too. It's like, well, how come loggers don't see? It's like, are you a logger? Do you know they don't?
Yeah.
Or do they just keep their mouths shut for their job? For the people not thinking they're crazy as they probably think they are themselves for seeing something, So it's like,
well, we've talked about this too, Tim, especially with the logging industry and stuff. Like, if Bigfoot was named like an endangered species, that would be the end of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, not just logging. Not just logging, of a lot of stuff. Yeah.
What was real fast too, Tim? They keyed on too in that Willow Creek one about the shoes too, like the wooden shoes. The guys claim, it was just us walking around with wooden shoes, And they had some old cantankerous old not psychologists, but anthropologist or something on there, and he just, oh my god, he went off about that. It was funny. It was good though. He was like, there is no way, and which I'm sure. I mean, come on, like. Especially anybody who's done tracking or any type of thing, whatever. I'm sure you're going to be able to tell the difference between a wooden footprint too, and these other ones.
Well, I'm not a Willow Creek fan, like the movie Willow Creek at all. But I did find it funny in the special features on the disc. They actually have Bobcat Goldthwait, and he's trying to make the prints in the sand or whatever for the movie. Yeah, and he does have the wooden shoe things on. You ought to see him try to make those in sand.
Yeah.
You should try to see him make those. It's hilarious. He's like falling over. He's trying to jump from one spot to the other, and without help, you can't do it. And the help is making foot tracks, tracks too next to him. Yeah, I mean, so it's. It's
they were
interesting.
showing, there's just no way like to do those long strides, and they were showing people, it was just funny.
Right.
But good stuff, Timo. Yeah, I really enjoyed watching those. I spent a lot of time watching those episodes. That was good. It's all worth it. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so
Amazon
about 6
Prime
hours worth.
Amazon Prime is worth its weight. Then I'm glad. So I've been enjoying it,
stuff.
and it's like they just so much stuff filters through. I'm telling you, go to instantwatcher.com and just pick up Amazon Prime, and it tells you everything coming out that day. You can sync it up to your account, so you can just add things to your queue from there, and then you never miss anything because there's a lot to miss. There are days where they have hundreds of new movies up, and it's insane. It's insane.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just nuts. So let's get to our fish for a little New Year's films, Mr. Ben Harley.
Sure, Timo. Okay, let's do that.
All right. So first up, from 1946, we have the George Zucco vehicle, I guess. The Flying Serpent from 1946. Let me get you a short little summary here of this film. Let me get out Movie Guy, and we'll do his... We'll do a little summary, little synopsis, plot summary for The Flying Serpent from 1946. All right, here we go.
Okay.
The demented archaeologist, Dr. Andrew Forbes, George Zucco, discovers a living, breathing serpent creature known to the Aztecs as Quetzalcoatl, the killer bird god. Okay. And accidentally kills his wife by giving her one of the beast's feathers, causing the creature to track her down and slaughter her. Now Dr. Forbes uses his twisted knowledge to extract revenge upon his enemies by placing one of the serpent's feathers on his intended victim and letting the beast loose to wreak havoc. He did wreak, and he wreaked of havoc. I'll tell you that much. Yes.
Look like a flying pheasant on a stick.
Right. This is basically the devil bat with a mutant rooster.
Right.
Instead of the devil bat. I'm pretty sure in the devil bat, though, I think that's Lugosi, and I think he gives people... now, these bat movies run together. I'm running on really... drug-induced memory here. Okay, so if I remember correctly, he gives them like a cologne to wear or a perfume.
Yeah,
and I think the bat is attracted to that. And this one, apparently Quetzalcoatl's feathers are irresistible to men and women alike.
Yes.
They have to hold on to them. They have to stroke the serpent's feathers. so, and basically that, so if you're holding one of these flying serpent's feathers, then the mutant flying rooster comes and he bumps into you to death.
Yes.
Yeah.
He kind of humps you.
He kind of does hump you, yeah. That's what I think. It's an aftershave lotion or something for and this really is about the same movie. It's about the same movie, basically. So, what'd you think, Ben Harley, about The Flying Serpent?
The movie itself's not too bad, Timo. I mean, it's got enough intrigue and stuff, and you feel bad kind of for the girl. She's a kind of a looker. I don't feel bad because she's a looker, but that's her father is the evil one,
right.
And he's doing all this dastardly stuff. And I liked his character. He was just enough of a jerk,
right.
But it is a real letdown when you see the flying serpent, because
what do you mean?
To me, I thought it looked like a stuffed pheasant that was like been run over by a car, and it was on a stick. Like someone was just like, I don't know.
At least they put a motor in it to make its wings flap. The devil bat, they just shook it up and down. They shook the devil bat, so they had a little bit of it was a little more advanced of a flying bird. Yeah.
Well, it was funny because this one too, when it would attack you, a lot of times it happened by bushes. So like you could fall into the bushes and it could fall on top of you, and you didn't really see what was happening afterwards. Like
the
first attack, Yeah, it attacked a guy in a set of bushes, like, and it did. It just like landed on him.
It landed on him, and it was getting fresh with him. I think is what it looked like. It kind of got him in the bushes to get the kind of. He definitely had a hashtag Me Too the next, but an hour or two later in his social media account. Oh boy, it is so much like the devil bat that it does kind of make me a little funny. I will tell you this, that compared to this movie, the film Q about Quetzalcoatl, that stop motion thing looked a lot more imposing than the Flying Serpent in this film. I wouldn't even. It's about the same legendary creature, but I mean, when you look at the first time, I'm kind of like, that is an Aztec god.
I was very unimpressed, I must say.
I mean, come on, that's not an Aztec god. They would have had that thing hanging on the walls of their teepees.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no way. They would have eaten that thing,
Yeah, exactly.
They would have smoked its toenails and went into some kind of spiritual shaman moment. It's not happening. I'm just like, man, no wonder you Aztecs aren't around anymore. Your gods blow. I mean, that's terrible. Yeah. Now in Q, you had me. I'm like, all right, man, I see that thing coming toward me. Even if this is a goofy movie, I see that thing. I know I'm in trouble. But I'm not afraid of a bird that's not even bigger than a normal bird. I mean, it's not even bigger than some eagles or condors or something. It's just not that big.
And what was funny is when they would shoot a lot of the scenes with it, there's way too much background. They could have zoomed in on it and made it look, I guess, bigger, but I don't think they wanted to get close enough to it for you to see it. Because it comes across the screen. You're like, yeah, that's it. Like,
right.
Come on. Yeah. Well, hit it with the baseball bat.
Shoot a dart at it, or hit it with a BB gun. It's over. This is what I consider to be a so bad it's good movie. And I think that term is thrown around a lot. And it's like, no, because a true movie that's so bad that it's good is not an silent film. It's not an silent film. A true movie is one that has a bit of ignorance and a little naive about how bad it really is.
They weren't trying for it to be bad.
No. And it's a little naive on how bad it really is. The asylum type stuff, it knows its awfulness and it celebrates it. These movies do not do that. They're trying to. It's almost like some people in the crew were like, "Look, Mac, I've been here before. Just throw the bird at the guy." And the other guy, the other young guy, is kind of got little rose-tinted glasses, is trying to say, "I got to get the motor to work for the wings, or else no one's ever going to believe it's a bird." It's like, look, Mac, no one's ever going to believe it in the beginning. So it's almost like there's like a butting of the heads, and what you get is this. What you get is your typical, and even for 46, this was probably a drive-in movie. I mean, there was drive-in, so I mean, it's like, it's definitely that, or a matinee film or something like that. But George Zuko is a lot of fun. He was one of those guys that his performances are pretty steady through these things.
And
he just gives his like raised eyebrow kind of look, and you're down.
He's a definite jackass in this one for sure.
I'm gonna give the Flying Serpent just a fun little Great Bay Pup. It's a stupid, goofy movie, but I gotta tell you what though, and this is something else that I admit freely, that I had more fun watching this than I did Mothman Prophecies.
I bet.
We watched that Tom Hanks movie Inferno, which was the third of the Dan Brown book movies or whatever.
The Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, it was the third one of those. And I mean, I was spending that movie turning over to Angio going, it did say Ron Howard, directed by, right? In the beginning of this, she's like, I'm like, okay, just wanted to make sure it's not me, it's it, But so and then we're watching The Flying Serpent, and I'm like, at least this is fun, and we're laughing at it.
Right, exactly.
It's fun, and it's like it's an hour long. It's an hour long. It's like nothing. It's easy. It goes down easy. Let's put it that way. So I
like the girl in it. She was a pip. She kept me interested.
Yeah. Who was that, by the way? That was old. That was old Hope Kramer. Let me find out. Well, let me give you another one. The other film Hope Kramer was known for is "I Was a Communist" for the FBI. So you might want to stay away from. Hope Kramer in the late 40s, early 50s. So we'll just leave it there. But I'm going to give this, even with the communist Hope Kramer in the movie, I am going to give this movie just a nice little mild, fun, great bape up. I think it might be public domain, so don't go too far. You can get this on DVD anywhere DVDs are sold. You can. You can order it easily anywhere, and then it is on Amazon Prime as well. I am just going to give it a fun little, this is great bape up. How about you?
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to give it a mild great bape up for the film. I thought the film was decent. I did not hate it.
No.
I mean, it was okay. Mm-hmm. But I got on the monster.
See, it's hard for me because that's part of the great bape up because it's so much fun to look at.
Yeah, he was funny. It was definitely underwhelming to
it's almost like if you watch a giant claw and spend a review of that bitching about what the monster looks like, you're missing the whole point. You're missing the whole thing. So I actually think the devil bat might be a little bit better than this one because the devil bat does not flap its wings quite as well and screams like a woman and lands on people and bounces off them a few times before they edit. So but anyway, I still like the Flying Serpent.
Oh my god.
Even though it might not be quite as naive, I do like it. So let's get to our second official film here, Mr. Ben. Ben Harley, we are in the 1940s this week. This is 1940s week on the Tim and Harley Show. So we have from 1940 The Ghost Breakers, starring Bob Hope.
Yes.
Bob, we're doing a Bob Hope. That's right, we're doing a Bob Hope. He did a
few things. He's been in a couple things, right?
Heard about him. Yeah, a little bit. And then Richard Carlson is in this. A really young Richard Carlson is in this from the Creature from the Black Lagoon and every other 50s movie we ever talk about. It's a Richard Carlson film. Let's see here. Let me give you a real short one-sentence synopsis here. What do you need for the Bob Hope movie Ghost Breakers? But let's see here. One sentence, like I said. Let's get this now. A radio broadcaster, his quaking manservant, oh God, and an heirs investigate the mystery of a haunted castle in Cuba.
More communist talk, Tim.
I'm telling you, yeah. We did have a little conversation about that too. I said, this was 1940. Cuba was not. It was okay. It was the okay place to go. In 1940, I don't think the revolution took place there until the late 50s or something.
Yeah, it was a nice place to.
It was, yeah. So
high rollers,
right? Where you didn't want to go was Paris. Yeah, you didn't want to go to the places you want to go to now. No. You were doing the patriotic thing, going to Cuba, staying away from that war-torn Europe. Whoa,
yeah.
So which was interesting that they're going to Cuba. So it's I wonder when they were making that if they ever realized how interesting that would be to someone. 60 years later.
Yeah.
So, again, Bob Hope, Richard Carlson, Paulette Goddard is the female lead, and she was Charlie Chaplin's wife.
Really?
Yeah.
She was a cutie, too.
Mm-hmm. Then, we had old Willie Best, the stereotypical but funny manservant.
Quaking manservant, yeah.
I thought it was Sleep and Eat.
He's awesome.
I really did think it was Sleep and Eat. But I had to look it up. I was like, is that Sleep and Eat? I'm like, oh, God, am I racist by thinking that? I was like, no, I'm trying to identify the guy, okay? Yeah. Let's see here. We had Noble Johnson, who was the big hulking manservant in The Most Dangerous Game.
Yeah.
Remember, he was the African American fellow, the black fellow. We're going to call him black in this show. He was a black fellow that he did a lot of whiteface. Remember I was telling you that because he had an odd look about him and a big guy. Yeah. Anthony Quinn shows up. Anthony Quinn is the guy that plays the supposed twins, the guy that gets. I was like, that's Anthony Quinn. I was telling Angie, I'm like, Jesus Christ, what kind of cast? It's a hell of a cast. It's basically a cast. Like in 1940 of 50s plus and 30s movie stars.
Yeah.
So it's kind of grabbing kind of not has-beens, but guys that are on their tail end of their career and guys that are coming up. Like I would say Richard Carlson was coming up in his career and stuff. But basically, Bob Hope in this movie is a tabloid gangster gossip radio guy.
Yeah.
And he pisses off a gangster and kind of gets bamboozled into going on a ship to Cuba, and he meets a girl, and he's got to go find some gold. He ends up being kind of a treasure type hunt, kind of a runaway from gangsters after you. A little bit of double crossing
thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they think he might have murdered a fella. He thinks he murdered a fella.
Right, exactly. Yep. So now, you've seen this before, have you, Ben?
No, I've seen clips. I've seen clips. There's a famous clip from here that I like a lot. But no, Tim, I have not. And man, I really enjoy this movie, like from start to finish. I like Bob Hope. I like Bob Hope's comedy. I mean, I get it. I always have, and I like it because he pokes fun at himself, and he's good at the deadpan, but there's a lot of good comedy in this. Yeah. I mean, just good. Him and, was it Willie Best? Is that his name?
Yeah. Willie Best. Yeah.
They're good in it together. But actually all three of them, and even the girl and stuff too, they all work really well. And for me, this is good filmmaking and good just acting and fun stuff. Like for me, maybe it's just the mood I was into. Maybe I needed to buy something like this.
Right.
But I just like this movie. And it's got enough, intrigue and other stuff in it too. It's a good mixture of both.
Right.
But as far as the comedy, I guess I liked the comedy a little bit better. And I just like Bob Hope. I do. I think he's one of our finest, just comedian actors of all time. I just think he is. And and it's good to see him in his heyday kind of too.
Right. I don't think a lot of people have seen Bob Hope movies. They've heard the name, but I think they've kind of gotten cast aside. And I don't like Jerry Lewis movies. When we were kids,
they're fucking hilarious.
When we were kids, you could see a Jerry Lewis movie every weekend. You just turn the TV on, there was one on, and Bob Hope was kind of like that too. Our Mom Paul Kettle and stuff. The interesting thing is Bob Hope actually really liked this movie because he enjoyed not playing such a coward. Yeah, because he's kind of more heroic in this movie. He'll walk into danger, whereas normally he is kind of a, he is a bit of a, I bet, kind of guy.
Exactly. Quaking in his shoes.
Right. But this was, it was remade. Speaking of Jerry Lewis, it was remade with Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin. That Scared Stiff movie is a remake of this. Yeah. This is also Robert Ryan's film debut, which that blew me away. The guys in Robert Ryan's from The Wild Bunch, Dirty Dozen, Bad Day at Black Rock, Naked Spur. He was an intern in the movie, like I guess real bit part. That stuff blows me away when you see awesome. Super famous before
it's great to see where they came from and how they got there too. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's a good story too, Tim. I think it's just it's one of those where something happens, and what happened. The character doesn't really, and just the things that happen that ensue. Just for him getting to Cuba on the boat and all the different things,
right?
He gets because what happens? He thought he shot a guy. He thought the mob was after him.
He thought he killed a mobster by accident.
Yeah. And one of my favorite parts is so he goes into this woman's apartment, and asks for her help or whatever, and she does help him, but he gets he stowaways in her trunk, and there's some funny stuff between the trunk going from her apartment to the boat dock and onto the boat,
right?
And one of my favorite parts is when he finally gets out of the trunk, when he comes walking out of the trunk, and he does. He comes walking out of this trunk, but he's just stuff like that for me. It's just funny, but I liked it. I thought it had good intrigue too,
Well, that's the thing. There was some real supernatural stuff, I think, that kind of happens in it. So it kind of leaves you wondering what's what. I'll tell you what, though, the Noble Johnson, the guy from Most Dangerous Game, and all that, what a great zombie. What great makeup.
Man, I tell you what, now that's a real zombie. Now this is a real zombie movie. Yeah. Because that's what zombies are supposed to be. The zombies weren't, I guess they are the Walking Dead, I guess, but they were more like, this is like a voodoo zombie. This is where, and then man, it looked creepy as hell.
Right.
Creepy.
The voodoo zombie was somewhere a twilight period between life and death.
Yes.
So I think that's what you're getting at. And it was more of a spell you would get Well, yeah, it
and
was
so
some
they
kind of
could
powder,
use you.
but yeah,
and then use you as a slave.
Right, exactly,
afterwards.
and that's what this was too.
Yeah.
So, but his makeup was fucking unbelievable. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Oh, he looks scary as hell.
Yeah. Now, the one thing about this movie, and both of us, I think, are watching this knowing damn well why you don't see this on TV as much anymore. Little non-PC. The little. So if you're going to go into this movie, you got to understand it's not very. And what's really frustrating is that, I'll be honest with you, this is the kind of stuff I'm glad we don't see anymore. The manservant and, you know, and things like that. And I'm glad that we've come so far from, believe me, it's like, I don't want to live in that world. It's like, this is great. This is great. But I can't say it isn't funny. I can't say that for God's sake, and I'm not laughing at Willie Best. I'm laughing with him because as in almost all of these movies, if you really look at them, yes, this kind of racial on a stereotypical kind of way, but them dudes are always the smartest people in the movie.
And the thing is, and he was in the movie a lot.
Yes.
And it wasn't like he just was like, he was there for a couple quick laughs. No, he was in an integral part of the film and helped a lot of stuff with Bob Hope. Wasn't just, and to me, going through the movie, I didn't really see him as like his servant. It seemed more like his friend.
Yeah, I actually kept thinking, I bet off camera, Bob Hope and Willie Best were probably pretty close. Like you could kind of tell they had a good rapport with each other and stuff. And look, it was just the times. And I look back at it and I'm like, it's almost like when they got rid of the circus freaks. Yeah, you know, they lost a job, you know, and stuff. So I kind of see this as the beginning of integration into like Hollywood and stuff. I see it as, that's what I'm saying. I'm glad we have progressed. Believe me, I am. But I think it's very unfair if you laugh at this and think it's funny that you're racist. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I know a little bit about films and film history. I will tell you right now, the Three Stooges did the same scaredy bug-eyed thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Lou Costello, he did the same thing. What about Don Knotts?
Yeah. Oh my God!
What about Don? So it's just these guys were great performers. Willie Best was a great performer. Sleep and Eat was a great performer. We're looking at it. You can't. It's almost like, do you want people in the future to condemn what we're doing now? Yes, actually, I probably do. Yeah. To be honest with you, for the most part, I probably do. So never mind. That's a bad example. All I'm saying is that yes, we understand this is not. It's not PC. But relax. It doesn't make anyone bad people or something to go back and laugh at this and be glad that it's there and they don't need to make this shit anymore. And that's not the way the world is, thank God, you know, and stuff. Yeah. But I'm just saying that it's funny. I can watch this without getting angry at the past, or whatever. So, I think we've come a long way in doing stuff. And I think that these guys were brilliant entertainers. I think they're hilarious. And once again, I will tell you, these guys in these movies, almost to a man, are the smartest people in the movie. They're the only ones who have a gun. They're the only ones who don't want to go into the spot where all the trouble's at. They're the only ones that are like rolling their eyes like, oh yeah, he's my quote boss, right? Yeah, he's the smart one, right? Wink, wink the whole time. And I actually find that very appealing and funny. And I think it's very good. And he played off Bob Hope brilliantly in this movie. I'm going to give it a big, great bape up. I thought Cat and the Canary was better, which was another Bob Hope. That was another Bob Hope spook show movie.
Sure.
Like this. And I thought that was a little bit funnier. So maybe we'll have to track that down and at some point review that too. I don't remember if it was on Amazon Prime or nothing when I watched it. I can't remember how I saw it. But we'll figure that out. But still, though, I think this was not as good as Cat and Canary, but I think it was very good. I'm going to give it a big, great bape up. How about you?
I'm going to give it a huge, great bape up, Tim. I loved this movie. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it just had a good amount of everything for me, but I just thought it was good. It was good to see Bob Hope. You know, I thought Willie Best was one of the best characters in the film. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just thought it was good. I thought him and Bob Hope just worked together awesomely. Like, it was just, they were funny. Yeah. I found the whole film really enjoyable. Was something. It was kind of a breath of fresh air for me, like as far as just a good comedy and a little horror, too. It was just good.
Well, I thought Richard Carlson was kind of reminded me of Dirk Benedict and where his youth frightened me. I was like, good gravy, that guy is young in this movie, old Richard Carlson. I was like, God, jeez, you know, and kind of playing the dick, like kind of the third wheel guy in the movie and stuff. I just thought, I don't know. I don't disagree with you. I think because I like Cat and the Canary a little bit more. It's not a huge great bait but we're splitting hairs here. I mean, it's a good, fun movie. Ghost Breakers, highly recommended for sure. So, all right, Ben Harley, see for New Year, we got two big great babes up. Yours is even bigger for the 1940 film Ghost Breakers. And you got a more mild. I think mine's a little more fun and great babe up if you got the right intoxicants. For the 1946 film The Flying Serpent, and if you really want to have fun, watch that and The Devil Bat back to back, and then your night's over. Don't drive after watching both those movies. That's all I got to say. So Ben Harley, and to our audience, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Timo.
It's 2018, and I'm looking forward to the next year. We've had a fun year this year, and we are going to be going, Mr. Ben Harley, to Vet City Con. At the end of the month here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I'm pretty sure it might be next week. We might have a little cameo appearance by a one Dead Dick Hammer on the show, believe it or not, talking a little bit about Vet City Con. I hear he's got some pull down in those parts. To do that. So we might have. I'm trying to work it out. I've been in deep negotiations with Dead Dick Hammer's people. But it's hard to negotiate with people. My phone line down to the bowels of hell are a little shaky. I'm in a rural area, folks. You know, you're going to have to cut me a little slack. We'll see what we can do about that. So hopefully next week or a week after at the latest, we're going to have Mr. Dead Dick Hammer on, talk a little bit. So
that'd be great.
Until then, and until next year, Mr. Ben Harley, stay spooky. We'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show. Brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.